I still remember the exact weight of the words when I said them. It was the last night of the harvest moon, the great hall packed with every elder, every warrior, every Omega who had come to witness the rite. Sable stood at the center of the floor in a gray wool dress, the same one she'd worn when she arrived at my gates 8 months before as my fated mate. Quiet, steady, with eyes the color of winter birch bark. My wolf had known her on sight. I had not listened to my wolf. Counselor Brast had come to me that morning with the letter. He laid it on my war table with the measured calm of a man delivering a verdict. The letter bore Sable's seal. It named a merchant in the southern lowlands, a man she had supposedly written to in secret, and it described, in her hand, or so I believed, her plans to leave once she had secured her position as my Luna. I believed it. That is the sentence I have carried for 7 years, like a stone in my chest. I believed it without asking her. I believed it because some part of me, the part that had been a king too long, that trusted no one without proof and loved no one without first suspecting them, found the lie easier than the bond. So I stood before my full pack and I spoke the banishment. I said she had come to my house under false intent. I said the mate bond did not obligate me to honor a claim built on deception. I said she was free to go, and that word, free, is the one that has never stopped cutting, because what I meant was gone. What I meant was, I am choosing the world's opinion over the truth in my own chest. She did not cry. She did not plead or argue or turn to the pack for witnesses. She looked at me for one long moment, long enough that I felt it behind my ribs, felt my wolf go absolutely still in the way he had only ever gone still for her. And then she turned and walked to the doors of the great hall and out into the snow. The hall was quiet for a long time after. My wolf grieved her that night like a death. He mourned in a way I had no name for, not howling, just a kind of silence deeper than sleep, a hollow where warmth had been. I told myself it would pass. It did not pass. Within a fortnight, I had sent men to find the merchant. Within a month, I had the truth. The letter was a forgery, and the hand that forged it was Brast's own scribe, acting on orders from a rival house that wanted Sable gone before the bond could be formalized, and her bloodline, old, quiet, and rooted in the earliest lines of the moon-gifted, could strengthen mine. I had banished my true mate on a lie, and she was gone. The first year I sent riders in every direction. The second year I rode myself. I went to every border village, every healer's cottage, every market town between Valdenmoor and the southern coasts. I asked for a woman with winter birch eyes, quiet in the way a deep river is quiet, who healed without being asked and never once raised her voice. My wolf could not track her. The distance had thinned the bond to a thread so faint, I could only feel it in my chest on certain mornings, like a bruise that would not go away. I followed the bruise. For 5 years I followed it. In the 6th year I stopped following and simply kept moving, because stopping meant sitting with what I had done, and I was not yet able to sit with that. In the 7th year I came to Ashford. It is a small place, a handful of stone houses at the foot of the Velmore Pass, the kind of village that does not appear on the war maps. I came because a traveling wool merchant told me there was a healer there who had no pack and asked no fee, who could set a bone by touch, and had once kept a child alive through a fever that should have taken her by dawn. He described her eyes. I rode into Ashford on a Tuesday morning in the first snow of winter. The healer's house was the smallest on the lane, a low stone building with dried herbs hanging in the doorway, and light coming through the single window, the warm amber of a candle flame. I dismounted at the gate. My wolf, who had been still for the better part of 6 years, rose in my chest like a held breath finally released. I felt the bond the moment my hand touched the gatepost. Not the faint bruise I had tracked across half a continent. This was the full weight of it, sudden and undeniable as a door opening. It burned the length of my forearm and settled at my wrist, where the mark had always faintly lived. And for one moment I could not move. I heard her before I saw her. A soft exchange of voices inside. She was dismissing a patient, thanking them gently for something. Then the door opened, and she stepped onto the threshold with a basket of clean linen over one arm, and she looked up, and she saw me. She did not move. Neither did I. 7 years. She was the same, and she was not... There was a quiet authority to her now that had not been there before, a settledness that came from a woman who had needed no one to survive and had built something real from that fact. She wore a healer's plain gray, and her hair was loose. Her eyes were exactly as I remembered. My wolf was on his feet inside me, trembling, not with aggression, but with something I could only call recognition. The way you feel when you have been walking a long road in the dark, and you finally see a light you know. She said my name, not my title, just Aaron. 2 syllables, flat and quiet, with nothing owed in them. I had rehearsed this moment in my head for nearly 7 years. I had planned measured speeches about justice and remedy and what was owed. Standing at her threshold, every word of it left me, and what remained was the simple and terrible truth. I said, I believed a lie, and I cost you everything. I came because I owe you the truth out loud, presence, and because I have been unable to go a single morning in 7 years without feeling exactly where you are. Even when I could not find you, but I did not come to command anything. I came to give you the choice I should have given you that night. She was quiet for a long moment. The snow had begun again, light and slow, settling on her threshold and on my shoulders. I know about the forgery, she said at last. A writer from your house found me in the 4th year. That landed in me like cold water. Then you knew I was looking. Yes. Why did you not? Because it was not enough to be found, Aaron. Her voice was steady. Not cruel, just honest in the way that only costs something when it is true. You believed it without asking me. That was the thing. Not the letter. Not Brast. You, with the bond already made between us, chose to believe I was capable of it rather than ask me to my face. She set the basket of linen down on the step. I needed to know that you understood what you did, not what Brast did. What you did. I stood in the snow at her gate, and I did the only thing left to do. I stepped through it. I crossed the small frozen yard, and I knelt in the snow at the foot of her threshold, and I looked up at her. I understand what I did, I said. I chose fear over the bond. I chose the opinion of a hall full of wolves over the woman my own soul recognized. I will not ask you to forgive what cannot be undone. I am asking you, if there is any part of what we had that you are willing to carry forward, come home, as my queen, my equal, my mate. I paused. But if you say no, I will leave Ashford and I will never come back. And I will make certain no one from my house troubles you again. The snow fell between us. My wolf waited in absolute stillness, not pressing, not pleading, only present, the way he had always been with her, not dominant but attentive, the way a man stands when he has given everything into someone else's hands and accepted that the hands belong to them. Sable looked at me for a long time. Then she crouched down, her knees at the level of my shoulders, and she took my face in both her hands the way a healer does. Not gently out of sentiment, but gently because she was assessing something, reading something, and the bond flared through both of us at once, bright and certain, the way a fire goes from coal to flame when the right air reaches it. Get up, she said quietly. You're getting snow in your boots? I laughed. It was not something I had done in a long time. I stood, and she stood with me, and her hand was still in mine by the time we were both upright. We rode back to Valdemore in the first week of deep winter. She rode at my side, not behind, not before. And when we came through the gates of the great hall, the same hall where I had spoken my banishment before the full pack 7 years, before every wolf went still, I brought her to the center of that floor, the same floor. I held her hand before every elder, every warrior, every Omega present, and I said her name, and I said she was my queen. I said the banishment had been unjust and was erased. The hall was quiet for a long moment, the same quiet it had held when she walked out of it, and then, one by one, every wolf in the room bowed their head. Not to me, to her. My wolf settled in my chest in a way he had not settled since the night he first saw her. The deep, certain calm of a thing finally returned to its right place. I felt the bond between us steady and whole, the bruise in my chest gone at last, replaced by something I had no better word for than hers. I had spent 7 years learning that a king who will not listen to his own bond deserves to walk the long road back to it. Sable had spent 7 years learning that she did not need me to survive. And so when she chose to come home, it was a real choice, freely given, worth every mile of the road I had walked to reach her. She heals in the castle now, the same way she healed in Ashford, without fee, without fanfare, with the same quiet hands that set bones and kept fevers down, and once held the face of a king, kneeling in the snow and found something there still worth keeping. Every morning I wake knowing exactly where she is. The bond does not let me forget. I have stopped wanting it to.